Mindfulness. It's another one of those terms that we hear thrown around all the time from teachers and influencers, but nobody really talks about what it actually is or why it's important along our spiritual journey. So, hey everyone, I'm Elizabeth Blackwell, and I specialize in setting sacred spaces and helping you out along your spiritual journey. So if that sounds good to you, I'd absolutely love it if you'd subscribe. It helps out small channels like this. Otherwise, let's get into it. So mindfulness. What the hell is it? Well, at its core, it is being fully present and aware of the current moment. This is where we tune into our thoughts, our emotions, our sensations. What are we feeling, tasting, touching, smelling? As well as we have a connection with those around us. It's being fully present at the current moment. This is where we disconnect from that chatter that runs through our brain. And this is where we have a deep attunement and connection with what is surrounding us. It is where we let go of the regrets of the past as well as the anxieties of the future. And it has many, many benefits. What are some of the main benefits of being mindful? There's a lot, but I'm just going to hit on some of the highlights here. For the first one, I've certainly already mentioned it, but it's connection. And there's three main things that we connect with: ourselves, our surroundings, and other individuals. When it comes to connecting to ourselves, think of how often we go through mundane tasks and don't really think about it. And I'll give the example of eating here. How often do we sit down and eat something simply because it's that time of day or because we're feeling slightly hungry? But we don't deeply connect with what we're eating. Think about how that food is nourishing our bodies, enjoying or savoring the taste of it or the smell of it. And connect, it just increases our enjoyment and understanding of it. When it comes to connecting with our surroundings, I'm going to give an example of going for a walk. It's one of those things that a lot of times people do because they need to move their body, things along those lines. When we connect with those Mother Nature, the trees, when we feel the wind on our face and think of how it is affecting us, as well as what are we putting back out into our surroundings. A specific room. If we are sitting, I'm very much about setting sacred space and how our surroundings affect us. But the truth of the matter is, we affect our surroundings as well. I usually give the example, if you've ever walked into a room after somebody's had a fight, even if they're no longer in that room, it leaves a mark. There's an uncomfortableness left to the air. So when we connect with our spaces, then we can specifically bring joy into those spaces. And therefore, the next time we walk into that space, it will help to lift us a little bit. But think about how you're connecting with your surroundings. And then the third one is other individuals. And my goodness, could I go on forever about connecting with other people? How often do we sit in a conversation and we hear enough of what that other person says in order to give a response? But we aren't truly connecting with what they're saying. We're not taking that into a deep understanding or truly giving them the best of ourselves. So when we slow down and when we are mindful and when we are present, it allows us to give the other person a deep, intimate connection. And this allows us to, one, think of what the other person is to us. Is this somebody that you're overlapping with and nodding along simply because they're in your surroundings? Or is this somebody that you're truly enjoying that time and connection with? So it allows us to slow down and be present with them. Then there's the more spiritual side to mindfulness. And there are so many to go into, but I'll just hit some highlights here. The first and foremost is that mindfulness is the number one way to know
who our true selves are. We need to slow ourselves down and go within in order to understand what are our likes, what are our dislikes, where do we feel pulled in this world. So we have to be mindful and present with ourselves in order to get that knowing of who we really are. Secondly, here is I am one of the biggest proponents of meditation. It actually helped change my life. But that's what meditation really is. It is slowing down, watching our breath, and I'll give you a breathing exercise here in a minute, and going within, trying to quiet that chatter within our brain and just being present in the moment, allowing ourselves to truly just be instead of do. One of my favorite breathing exercises, which I think is the easiest to remember, is a box breath. That is where we inhale for a specific amount of time, hold for that same amount of time, exhale for that same amount of time, and then hold. There's also conditioning breath. There's so many. But that is the easiest, I think, to remember. So that would be inhaling for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, exhaling for 5 seconds, and then holding for 5 seconds. And as we train our lungs and our body, you can increase that time. But that will help to slow your brain down, to slow your body down, and help you be more present and actually in that meditative state. And then the third benefit that I will go on here is mindfulness is the number one way to actually tap into your intuition. And so many of us, again, just go on autopilot throughout our day, and we don't think of where our gut is truly pulling us. So when we slow down, as I've said over and over again, and are present in that moment, then we can connect with where we're being pulled to. Are we just instantly doing something out of habit? Are we going to the same things? Or are we being pulled in a specific direction and tapping into that intuition and that gut feeling? And being mindful and present is the best way that I know to tap into those intuitive feelings. I'm going to kind of round this video out with some areas where mindfulness can just be of such benefit, which is the first one is just any of our daily rituals, anything that we do day in and day out, that if we are thoughtful and present can add so much to it. Think of all of those things, from daily self-care, such as showering or bathing, taking care of our skin or our bodies, that slowing down and being present with ourselves will feed back into us. When it comes to showering or bathing, we can cleanse not only our bodies, but we can cleanse ourselves energetically by being mindful. We can think of what we are letting go of, what we are choosing to no longer hold on to, and shed ourselves of those things while standing in water is so beneficial to not only the body, but the soul and the mind. And then things like cooking for our families, our children. When we slow down and are present in the moment, then we're really putting that love in, because certainly our time and effort is already there. So when we can put things like love and thought into those things, I very much believe that they will nourish deeper and that they will have a deeper benefit to not only ourselves, but those who we love. And the last kind of area of mindfulness that I'll mention is that true connection between the body, the mind, and the spirit. This is an area that we not only need to be mindful in, but mindfulness is such a benefit. when we, again, slow down and connect what is going on in our bodies and what we are thinking in our minds, then we can know deeper what we're feeling in our souls. And it brings all of those things together. And it really does help to take us to our highest and greatest selves. So I hope this video was of service to you. If it was, I would love it if you'd hit the like button or possibly even subscribe, as it really does help out small channels like this. The goal here is to help people along their spiritual journey, as well as teach about setting sacred spaces and all of those sorts of things. So I hope you guys are all doing wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Stay well, my friends.